Greetings and welcome to Leagues Behind, the official vodcast of the AGL's previous league offerings, wherein we dissect the corpse of leagues that we've already completed and we see which parts we would like to keep and which parts we'd revise if we did it again. I'm your host, Christopher C. York. I'm a philosopher of sport and games and the founder of the AGL. And I've got none other than our server favorite, also vodcast host, all-around good guy, and winner of the Chaos 2 League we'll be discussing today, John Pasalacqua. John, welcome aboard.
I don't like that this is video. Everyone can see me blushing with all the wonderful things you're saying about me.
Two-time league winner.
This was the first one. Pride of Mardu. A four-time top eighter. Two-time league winner. One time came on the
I'm going to drink coffee and let you talk yourself up.
Yeah, so hello everyone. I am your Goku or Go Home, your Don John DeMarco. The Pride of Mardu. I'm a four-time top eighter. This was my second top eight, Chaos 2, and my first league win, Chaos 2. This was another good one for me. I love Strixhaven. That was the last time I came on the show. That was my first top eight. This was my next top eight. It was a few leagues later. I'm not sure how many it was after that. It was a few. But I love Chaos. So I was really happy to not only top eight, but to win a Chaos League was a big feather in my cap as a big Chaos enjoyer. Well,
I mean, at this time, I guess you'd have the reputation of if you top eight, you're taking it all the way to the top, right? Like you're just winning those things. It sets a dangerous precedent.
I don't know if you know this, but every top eight I've been in, I've gone to the finals. I've only ever gone to the finals in Mega Drafts. So bring it on, come at me. And Chaos, I just love me some Chaos, Chris York.
Well, Mega Draft is your jam. Then maybe, I mean, you got some things to say about league design generally. I mean, some people, they've been kicking around the idea of getting rid of the Mega Draft because it's too many scheduling headaches and puts too much pressure on one day's final event outcome. And there've been voices, whispering about the demise of Mega Draft for years now. What do you think of that?
I really hope not. I don't love it because the Mega Draft is it's a special thing for a couple of reasons, but it's special to this league, right? Like anybody, I guess not anybody, but if you ever cut to top eight, you ever day two, you ever do well in a big tournament, there's always a draft at the end. So it's very Magic limited tournament centric. I feel like that's just how Magic tournaments are. You have a tournament, it goes for so long, and the top eight, they do a separate draft. You day two, you do a separate draft. We do these qualifiers. You get a sealed, you day two, you get another sealed, you go again. So for that reason, I think you keep it just because that's just how Magic is. Like Magic tournaments don't just finish, do they? I think they cut to a top eight or they cut to a top 16 or something. Especially limited. Like we're limited players. It's a big part of limited.
I mean, so I think you're right. Like the finals event has a certain pedigree, has a certain provenance, and I think that getting rid of it would sort of definitely diminish the tournament series because I think it's a day when you don't necessarily spend a lot of time with each other as a community. You do spend time with your opponents one-on-one, grinding out your matches during the main league, but this is a time when the whole community comes together. Either because you're invested in the series or you're a part of the top eight. Everybody's sort of watching the proceedings live on a typical day. And for some reason, it just gets the drama cooking,
It does. And the last few Mega Drafts have had tons of people watching. Like, it's always a big spectacle. We never get that many people on a stream until it's like, feature matches or Mega Drafts. And then it's like, I'm entertained for hours. I get to sit there and watch it.
I love it too. I mean, for me, it's my Super Bowl Sunday, right? That happens every 6 weeks. I used to play myself, but now I just watch. I got an injury when I was out there in the field,
I love the analogy of Super Bowl Sunday because I always say, making top eight is like making the playoffs in football because it's like once you get there, it's everybody's got a shot, right? Like
Right.
You don't have to worry about the guy who was 6 wins ahead of you or all this other stuff. It's like you still have a shot to win this thing if you can make it to the Mega Draft. Like that's the first step, and then it's anybody's game.
And the rules have changed now with the 2025 season to reflect that, right? So now we have a sort of special exception to the cumulative points rule. The cumulative points rule applies to everybody else except the Mega Draft winner, who becomes the league winner now, which kind of ties up a loose end, another sort of like long-standing server debate, right? This has finally been resolved in favor of the other side. So I guess we're going to see coming up how that's going to affect the way our tournaments play out. But let's talk about Chaos 2. Unless you have a thought here. Sorry, I cut you off. Nope. Okay. All right. So
hey, you're back.
Yeah. No, did you have a thought on that, John? Before we move on.
What was the question again? You cut off a little bit during it.
Oh no, I was just saying that we have this sort of new season changes.
I like it.
You like it?
I like it. I always think that the Mega Draft winner should be the league winner. Again, like just going back to Magic tournaments, like
right.
They cut to top 8. Who wins the top 8 wins the tournament. It's never like, oh man, they cut to top 8, but the guy in 5th won. It's just like it's just not how it works.
Yeah.
So it's always kind of been an and you still have the pennant winner now. So it's like even if you don't win, if you did have that great league, you're still rewarded in basically the same way, right?
You
like
still get your player of the year invite, and you still might get a bonus prize. But I mean, yeah. So I think the whole thing was to keep Week 6 play meaningful and to keep it from not being the kind of thing where you're just throwing matches to get your friends in the top 8, right? Not that would ever happen with our great community, but it may have happened once upon a time, way in the distant past. But those are the dark days, John. We don't talk about those days.
Yeah, back in the before times.
Exactly.
Back in the way before times.
But speaking of way before times, this tournament. Chaos 2 or Chaos 20, because there are 20 legal sets on Arena at the time, launched in January of 2022. So we just kind of got through our first complete season. Then we had Midnight Hunt, Crimson Vow. This was our third tournament of the second online year of play. This tournament had 98 players, 2 of whom were you and I. And you were the eventual winner of this league, as I've mentioned. But of note, you were also the first American winner that we'd ever had. So before this, it was only ever Canadians and Finnish winners of the league. And you brought it home for the USA, right? So I guess if you could sort of just speak to that, right? Opening the door for American leaders in this format. How did it feel bringing it home for the USA?
You ever watch wrestling and you ever watch Hulk Hogan? That's how it felt. Like that. I am a real American.
Don't make me rip this shirt just to Hulk out. I mean, I like this shirt too much. You can't see it, but I do like this shirt.
What an honor to be the first American to win a league like that. That's I talk about like feathers in my cap. That's one that like can never be taken away from me. Like a very special. Little thing.
You can't take away my dignity.
And now, lots of Americans win all the time. You got the Discers, and they win every other league.
Right.
Canadians still win a lot, but it's not. Winning as an American isn't like a special anymore. But at the time, we used to get a lot of flack. The Americans, hey, when are you guys going to win a league? When are you guys going to learn how to play Magic? It was a big deal. Finally break that seal.
Yeah, just in terms of like numbers now, we have so many Americans. Like the majority of the players in our tournaments are Americans, and so just by the force of numbers, you're going to brute win a lot of tournaments for the USA. But I think percentage-wise, up until this point, it was statistically very unlikely that we would never have an American winner, because just look like. We only had 2 people from Finland. Both of them won a league. That's 100% of our Finnish players. 100%. I'm like, I don't know how they grow them up there, but they grow them different, right? I mean, that's 100% success rate for our Finnish players. And the Canadians, no slouches themselves. And
No.
I mean that. So just historically, this league, Chaos 2 or Chaos 20, however you refer to it, was the beginning. It ushered in a new age of inclusivity for American players, which happily has endured.
The takeover began with Chaos 2. That's when it started.
Okay, so let's talk about Chaos rules. You start off with 6 random packs from any of the 20 sets that were live on Arena at the time. That's your starting pool. Every time you lose a match, you get one of these 20 packs just randomly assigned to your pool. You go into the Mega Draft, and it's just 6 random sets there again. It's random all the way through. So first of all, I guess if I could get your feeling on just pure chaos, pure unadulterated, unapologetic chaos as a tournament. Your thoughts, feelings, opinions.
I love it. It's a 10 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Really? You couldn't improve
yes,
it? No way to improve it?
I don't know that there's a way to improve it because if you change it, it's not chaos anymore. Like, chaos is a specific thing to me.
Right.
Chaos is random packs. When you lose, you get random packs. Like, that's really chaos. Like, it's... And if you change that at all or even a little bit, it's not chaos because the randomization is controlled in some kind of way. And that's what I like about chaos. That's what I like about limited, is you open a pack and you never know what you're going to get, right? And
Right.
chaos expounds that to the X degree, which is, well, now you don't even know what kind of pack you're going to get. So, like, you really got to, like, figure out the synergies and the deck building. And, like, back then, this was before the era we're in now, which is much more powerful with bonus sheets and play boosters. Back then, like, yeah, they were bad packs, but the power level wasn't super high. So there were still pretty much, like, playables all over the place, right? Like, it wouldn't be like today. I feel like if we did Chaos today, you hit a play booster, it's like winning the lottery, and if you hit an Ixalan pack, you're gonna be super upset. But back then, just the randomness to just open up anything, and then the same thing with Mega Draft, just random. We didn't know what we were going to be drafting. We didn't know what we were going to be doing. I love Chaos, Chris. You're not going to get me to say bad things about Chaos.
No, me
it's not
too.
going to happen.
I'm a big fan. I won Chaos 1 back in the day, and so we are the only
Congratulations!
Well, thank you, sir. That's one of my 2 wins. So I've got lots of love for Chaos. In fact, like the tournament that we don't talk about, the what we called the Quarantine League, which was like the trial tournament to see if playing online would work, was also a Chaos League. So it's got a big place in this community. I think you're right. It's more difficult to sell it now, simply because of the disparity in power level between the packs that are available on Arena.
Yeah.
But I'm still a big fan of high variance, swingy results, and I think if you can get your head in the right place and get into the spirit of the event, we could probably do something like this again today. But I think also we've made some finesses on the Chaos League since then that I think are worthwhile to mention in this context, especially because we're returning to one of these concepts soon in the Foundations League. We sort of revived the old plane chase technology. So let's talk about that a little bit. That's how I think, Chaos is done right these days, is that we all move to a different plane for each week of play. On that plane, you open up different sets of packs together, right? So no one's opening a really busted set while someone else is opening a crappy set. Everyone's opening busted sets, or everyone's opening crap, but you kind of share that experience together. How can I say it? Like, I think that's the kind of chaos that is easier to market to the contemporary Magic player's palate.
I think you're right. I think that's a lot easier for a wide audience. And like you said, exactly. We're opening up the same packs. It's not that I'm opening up. I'm not getting lucky on my opens or really unlucky on my opens, which will happen anyway, right? But we're all opening up Foundations. We're all opening up OTJ or whatever. So yeah, we're all going to be feeling. It's going to feel fair, and people want things to feel fair, right? Like randomness isn't fair by design.
Unless we share the randomness, right? So like it's. I mean, plane chase is still chaotic in that we are jumping unpredictably from set to set. We're just kind of like coordinating those jumps, and of course, within any given set, right? There are good packs and bad packs. There are stinkers
Yep.
across the board. So, all right. So, I'm Plane Chase slash Foundations League podcast or his vodcast is coming up pretty soon. So we won't spend too much time spoiling that today. Maybe except to say that I'm excited to be going back. This is one of my favorite ways to play. I don't know if you have any sort of like preliminary feelings about Foundations League, John, that you want to get off your chest.
Only that, like, I love the last Planes Chase League. Like, again, I love Chaos, and Planes Chase is a more controlled Chaos, but it's that it's got a huge community element into it that I really like a lot, where, like, people gather around to watch the wheel spin and the next thing picked, or, like, people, freak out or get up there. People go, we gotta do this. What am I building? Like, it's a different energy that people get really excited for. That makes it really, really fun. Because again, we're all doing it together. So like, it brings, it's one of those community events. Like it's a good community thing to do, and it's just fun. And you never know what's going to happen. I loved how they did someone got to design the first plane we go to. It looks so cool. Like I'm so ready for Plane Chase League. I could not be more excited.
Which, by the way, is like just more foundations. So
I know
we're really building strong foundations before we leave that particular plane of existence. We're mining that. We're going deep on foundations. Hey,
it's gonna be great. It's a great design though. Like it's a very fair plane, which I think is a good place to start.
Yeah. No one's gonna get ganked on Foundations plane.
No. People are gonna be feeling good until week 2 gets rolled, and then they're gonna realize what's really going on. Like when I don't even know what's out there for this one, but for the last one, there were some weird weeks and some weird planes that got rolled. It was great.
And a lot that got left on the cutting room floor, right? So some concepts, I mean, most concepts have been either radically revised or dropped out of the design file. We're going to start spoiling those basically, I believe, tomorrow. We're going to start seeing the planes that are, have come into existence since last time. And some of, well, not to spoil it too badly, but Phenomenon as well that we've designed.
Ooh, Phenomenon.
Have you ever played Plane Chase in paper?
I have, but not much. I know you spin the dice. You want to hit the planner dice to roll the plane. Oh yeah, and then Phenomenon is like there's like another spot on the dice that if you hit that, it does a thing.
Phenomenon are shuffled into the planar deck, and when you hit them, it has an effect on the tournament. In our case, immediately, you follow the effect of the tournament. Then you immediately put you burn the Phenomenon card, and then you go to a plane immediately after. So it's like you kind of have a double effect that week.
So cool. Yeah. So cool.
So
I love it.
But anyway, that's next podcast's business. So we will leave that aside for now. But in terms of Chaos 2 gameplay, your experience in that tournament as the eventual winner, what do you remember from those days? Like, what was your deck like? Do you have any like big matches or big plays that you remember, either in the main tournament or in the finals? So can you regale us with some league lore?
Oh, I actually have a couple. I just had my deck pulled up. Here we go. Wow, went right back to it. Well, so this is what I wrote in Top Deck Archives with my deck. I went 20-10 in Chaos 2. I barely made top 8 in Chaos 2. I want to say I was 7th, and the person right below me on 8th, we were neck and neck, and we had like 0.0 and then like 5. Like we were so close in tiebreakers that we would flip-flop even though we were both finished. So like one day I was 7th, I'd go back the next day and I had gone back to 8th, even though because it was all win percentage that was moving us back and forth.
I love those sweats, by the way. I love those week 6 sweats.
We both made it, but it was one of those things where it's like, if anyone passes us, like, I'm not safe. Like, it was a scary one. But at Top Deck Archives, Chaos 20-10, Celestis and Fires of Invention won most of the games when they got out. So that was a fun little combo. I don't know if you remember that.
Help me out.
Where Fires of Invention.
Walk us through it.
Yeah. So Celestis is a 3-mana rock from one of the Midnight Hunt, one of those two. And it's a great card. When day becomes night or night becomes day, you get to loot. I think you gain a life. and you can pay 3 and tap it
do it
to
again.
to go from day to night. So you can kind of do it whenever you want. And I was playing 3 colors. I was playing Jund, so it's good fixing. It's just all great to dig through your deck, gains your life. Card's so good. Fires of Invention, 4 mana enchantment. You don't tap your lands to cast
perfect.
spells. You can cast your spells for free, but you can only cast spells equal to the number of lands you have out. So if you have 5 lands out, you can cast any 5-drop. So it's like, again, 3 colors. It's kind of fixing. But with the Celestis, it doesn't tap my mana, so I can still be looting things away and digging while also casting spells. So that was a fun little combo that deck had.
I'm digging the sound
I
of that
remember-
deck. This was main league, right?
Yeah, this was main league. This was in the main league deck.
Oh, that's beautiful.
so that was like
what a beautiful feeling I'm getting from that story already.
right. That's a good one. I had a God Pharaoh's Gift, 7 mana artifact at the beginning
Oh
of combat.
God.
You can exile a creature.
So you can discard things and then revive them with the God
Exactly.
Pharaoh's gift.
I can revive them with the God Pharaoh's Gift.
Oh, so all your rares are working in tandem. That's perfect.
And there was a lot of rares in this deck. I mean, I had a Ranger class, the 2 mana green enchantment from AFR.
Yeah.
That was like the busted rare from that set.
Phew.
I had the Celestis. I had a Meteor Swarm, X red, deal 8 damage divided among X targets, so you can wipe their board out. This was a big one, and this was a game I remember. Thylath World Sculptor, 4
my
green,
God.
red. I believe it's just a 4/4, but it's
Such
like
good card.
ETB, make a bunch of O1s equal to the number of lands you had.
It's a 5/5, I believe, but yeah, what a huge
5/5?
effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then every time you play landfall, you get 4+1/+1 counters on one of your dudes.
Yep.
Oh,
And I remember a game
Sick.
I was playing against Johnny M.
Yep.
Johnny M. Johnny.
hit us.
Where things weren't looking too great. All I had in hand was an Evolving Wild. And I top decked Thylath World Sculptor with 9 lands on the battlefield.
Oh, gross.
And made a bunch of blockers, got the double trigger. I could have played the land a couple times, and I was like, I gotta hold this because drawing Thylath is my out. This only works if I draw this one card. Which Thylath, again, also works great with God Pharaoh's Gift, comes back in, ETBs again.
Beautiful.
But I had the Evolving Wilds that I held just in case I drew this card, which then won me the game because it flooded my board, stalled everything up, and then I think I was just able to attack after that. But this deck has just so many good rares in it. This was a really fun deck. And this was a fun league. I don't remember too much about Chaos League itself because this was 2 years ago.
yeah,
and
I'm asking you to dig
it's-
way back in the archives here.
And the rule set is also it's just chaos, right? So it's not like I remember. Oh, I remember the week we played Brawl from Plains Chase League. I remember that. I remember
Right.
the week we did evens or odds only. These standout memories. Chaos was just play chaos. But the end of my top 8 deck. After opening Ranger class and Thylath, I went 14-3 on the back half of the league to top 8. So
The
I
results speak for
finished
themselves.
20-10.
Yeah.
So I was 6-7, and then went 14-3 to top 8, which I don't go on runs like that very often. So I must have been feeling real good.
Do you remember the
Going
pack
14
that
and 3.
turned it all around for you, or the deck design that turned it all around for you?
I want to say it was Ranger class because Ranger class is just it's one of those stupid rares because it comes down on turn 2, and if they can't deal with it by turn 4, the game is over. So it's I don't remember exactly what your class does. I think it's you play it, you get a 2/2 wolf, you tick it up, you put a counter, and it fights, and then is the third one you can play things from the top of your library. Maybe there's some card advantage in there. I want to say.
I forget exactly what it is, but
You know what? Let me Google it real quick. But it was just every game I had that on turn 2, I just won because it was even if they kill the creature, I don't care about the creature. I care about Ranger class, being leveled up to level 3, and then doing the thing that Ranger class does. So that was again just having strong. And I still see that a lot in the league, where it's having really good rares is good, but having rares that come down by turn 3 are always like extra good, like that early game rare that just kind of presses the issue. Because if you can finish these games quick, that's how I lose a lot of games in League. Because I go way too long, I mess around too much, I draw too many cards, and they find their thing. Like that's how I lose my League games. But with Ranger class, it just didn't happen. Like the deck would just take people out, and the deck is all removal and then these rares that I'm talking about. So it's lots of removal and then lots of good value creatures, and then bring those creatures back with Godfair's Gift.
Can I get a little mystical with you, John?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my thought about League decks and how you sort of grow either closer to them or farther away from them emotionally as the League goes on. I think you have to have a couple cards that you either rationally or irrationally believe in. And those are the backbone of your deck. And like you can build your deck around that, and like you're like, as long as I can dig to this one card, I will fight harder. I will play longer than anyone in my position should, because I believe in these cards, I believe in this deck, and I'm gonna get there. I've had that feeling in leagues where I've done very well, and usually it's like there's something almost, I wouldn't say religious, but not far away from it that happens in those cases. And there's also the other leagues where you start to like decouple from your deck. You're like, this deck doesn't represent me. There's nothing here I identify with. Like this, you can't wait to be rid of it, right?
Love it.
There's no combinations of cards that really vibes with you or that you gel with, and you can't find that relationship with it that you can with the good deck with the good cards, and that's somehow, and it might even not just be objectively good, but just like cards that fit with your play style, or cards that you can see the logic of them more clearly and plainly. So I totally get what you're saying about your main League deck, and it sounds like it was a joy to pilot.
It was a good one. It's one of those things where like the rares were almost always on color. Like things just worked out.
Yeah.
Like the mana worked out, even though it's like I have green 2-drops and I have a black-red split 2-drop. It's like I remember having black-red on 2 when I needed it. I remember having green on 2 when I needed it. Like it was one of those leagues where things lined up and really worked out.
Yeah, and I think that's the experience of almost everybody who top eights now, right? It's like you just have to have that sort of feeling going. Everything has to line up. The stars have to align. Everything has to feel right and good, and then you succeed. Talk me through now. Sorry, go on.
No, I was talking about my Mega Draft deck a little bit.
That's right. That's where I was going to take you next.
Wonderful. Look at this. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
I remember this Mega Draft very well. I was very nervous. I remember in Pack 1, I had just been drafting lots of black removal and didn't know what my second color was until I want to say Pack 2, Pack 3, when I opened a Hullbreaker horror.
Okay, so I was wondering if you just please talk us through the packs that we were opening, or that you were opening for that Mega Draft. Do you have a recollection? Just looking at your deck list, can you see what planes you visited?
I can see we had... it's a strange mix from the ones that I can see. So we had M19.
Oh, wonderful.
M20, and M21.
Oh my God.
Looks like.
The trifecta.
And then we had Guilds of Ravnica, it looks like. Well, here's the thing. Was it 6 different packs for everybody? Because I'm seeing a lot of different... Like, I've got cards from Neo in here. I've got Hullbreaker Horror, which is like Mid or Vow.
Oh,
Narfi,
maybe this was the tournament where we
Snow.
went nuts with it. And
I think everybody had 6 different packs, because there's just stuff from everywhere in this. I've got AFR, I've got Wizard class.
Here we go, from the rule set. In the league finals, the top 8 players will retire their main tournament league decks and play in a 3-round Mega Draft. Each player will draft 6 unique, randomly selected packs from all draftable sets available. So it was just anything goes.
I kind of like that in a Mega Draft, actually. Especially a Chaos Mega Draft, but like all different packs.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool. I actually didn't remember being all different, and that's really cool design. I like that a lot as we talk about it. The deck itself looks fine. There's a lot of removal, a Morbid Opportunist, really the Hallbreaker Horde. Go back and watch my games. I played against Damien S. Budcrack Magic in the finals. And this was back when Damien was top 8ing like every league. And Damien was like very scary. Very, very scary. Damien's been gone for a little bit. He hasn't played in the league for a little while, I don't think, now.
He's back now.
I want to come back.
He's back for this one, right?
Is he back?
He is back.
For
and here's a little secret.
Dustborn?
Here's a little secret story, John. I have a lost episode of Leagues Behind where I tried to talk to Damien, and the audio crapped out halfway through. So
it's okay. I've had similar issues recently myself.
Yeah. So you know the frustration when you have a good interview and it just kind of like. It took me 2 weeks to nail him down too, because he's a hard man to get on the mic. And then when I got him on the mic,
a busy guy.
Technical issues reduced that to scrap. So that was a frustrating one. But we're now. I mean, the victors have the spoils. You have a mic that works, so now you get to tell the story from your perspective. You tell us the story where Damien's the villain, you're the hero.
Damien was the villain. This was back when people thought you could just draft green-red. Like, green-red was winning every mega draft. It had a very high win rate. Just green-red stuff. Yeah. It was like a scary color.
Yeah. Gruul Stompy.
Exactly. And that's what he did. And he had a Galta. He had a bunch of good stuff. But the games just like lined up perfectly. We only played 2 games. We didn't go to 3. The first game, it was just like, I want to say it was like kill his thing. He got stuck on mana. I drew a bunch of cards and like took game 1. Go to game 2, sweating. I'm 1 game away. Well, Chris, 1 game away from winning my first Mega Draft, being the first American.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm like, I won because he had mana issues, right? Like,
no.
So it's like, does that? I didn't see a lot. I don't know what's coming, and like I feel like I got lucky there. Like we might not get lucky the next couple games.
So the shuffler's the villain here, really. More than
exactly. And I'm looking at this deck, and again, this deck ain't great. I got a rewind in here. I played Replicating Ring with Narfi, thinking that combo would work. Where once it goes off and I make 8 rings, I can return Narfi from my graveyard. This combo, I never did this, but I thought this was funny.
I love it.
I had
did that ever happen?
Transmogrifying Wand. No, I never happened.
Okay.
Neither did this. I had Transmogrifying Wand, which is a rare from M19. You tap it, you turn a creature into a 2/4 Ox, right? Kill their stuff, upgrade your stuff.
M19 technology. I know it well.
I also had the M21 rare Animal Sanctuary land, which says pay 2 and tap, put a +1/+1 counter on target bird, cat, dog, goat, ox, or snake. So I played. My idea was I would kill my own stuff, turn it into an ox, and then start putting counters on it with this land I had. Again, never happened.
But I love the thought process, though. Can I just say, I love that thought process. I love that kind of Rube Goldberg machine that you're trying to build, and like you're thinking like 3 steps ahead for this like this 2 rare combo in a 60 card deck over 3 matches. I just like the level of intense contemplation that you're giving this incredibly low value, high effort play. Right. I just love it. This only happens in Chaos Leagues, I think, and I enjoy this.
Right.
This is my jam.
And I had no other birds, cats. This was the only way to put counters. The only creature I could put counters on, and the only way I could do it. And I don't think I ever drew any of them.
Can I just say, I just love the idea. Like, I'm gonna draw 2 dud rares, have nothing better to do to kill my own creature, and then do I get to add +1/+1 per turn at a cost of a mana or 2, and then my opponent will know fear then and only then.
I did have a Sanitarium Skeleton, so I could kill that again and again and make it into a bunch of oxes.
That could be 3 oxes. That's 3 oxes right now.
Yeah, exactly. I had some plans. I have a Glint Nest Crane with 4 artifacts, 5 artifacts. Yeah, that's probably fine. This deck is But it had the Hullbreaker horror. That was the
Yeah.
key, right? And I have a wizard class. I can draw a bunch of cards.
I bet that came up a couple times. I bet the Hullbreaker horror probably saved your bacon a game or two at least, right?
It definitely won me. It won the game against Damien, the
Yes.
last one, because it was like I played a draw spell on like 2, a ring mana rock on 3, like a kill spell on like 5, and like flashed in Hullbreaker horror right as he was like playing his Ghalta, and then it was like
Beautiful.
bounce your stuff, and then he was just dead. And like after I bounced his whole board, he couldn't replay the Ghalta, which is what he needed to have out at that point to like stop me.
Is this still
Go back,
available
watch those
on
games.
Richard's channel? Were we doing
Yep.
feature match coverage at this time?
Yeah, I've rewatched that probably more than any other video on Richard's channel.
You're probably like covered in
first
peanut butter
playthrough.
when you're watching it too. I don't want to hear all the details. But
Oh, but it was it was good, clean Magic, and it was I felt so good to get there. Again, it was so big. My first win, Chris. This was I've only won twice since then. And my other win was with was Partner League. So this was my only solo win, and it feels good. It feels good.
Man, thanks a lot for the deep dive on the tournament experience. We don't get a lot of that on this channel. We're more into like a high level rules examination, but I think that because Chaos is fairly simple to get. I think we don't need to spend a lot of time on the rules, but I am happy to hear about the tournament experience, and you can bet that watching the Chaos 2 finals, that's my next to do in terms of consuming League content.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you
Yeah,
for bringing that to my attention. And the connection with Damien. Damien, notably, never won a league, right?
No, I want to say he's only top 8'd 1 or 2 times since then, but that one was, I think, one of the closest times he's got. That's the thing is, I want Damien to win a league.
I think
Of
you
course
broke
I want
him,
Damien
John.
to win a
I think
league.
it's you. You broke
But
him.
like, to have Damien be like the final boss for me on my first league, like I also couldn't be happier that it was anybody else, right? Like that it was Damien, and
Yeah.
like now I feel like I'm always connected to Damien because of that.
Yeah.
It's a special, and he probably doesn't see it the same way, but I'm happy that we share that moment.
Well, yeah. I mean, now that he's back in the community and back in the saddle, so to speak. Let's hope that he finally gets his time in the sun. I mean, he's top 8'd enough, God knows. But always the bridesmaid, never the bride. With him.
That's how it goes. That's how it is.
Well, John, we're kind of coming up on the last few minutes of the cast. In terms of Chaos in general, or this tournament in specific, any final thoughts, any sort of musings that you'd like to share with the Leagues Behind audience?
I love Chaos. I hope you guys like Chaos. I know Chaos gets a bad rap. A lot of people don't like it because it's like so one note, right? Like it is.
But it's so many notes.
It is what it is.
It's all the notes. It's a symphony.
But if you don't like Chaos, you're not gonna like any Chaos because like Chaos is it is what it is, right? Like if you don't like Chaos, you probably don't like Mystery Boosters or like
Right.
a lot of that other weird stuff that I also like a lot. Like maybe we could do Chaos again with like a curated Mystery Booster list of like 2,000 cards or whatever, and it's like weird bonus sheet or something. Like we make our own Chaos Cube. Maybe that could work.
Yeah.
Because you can't just do packs again. You can't do packs anymore. Like without like saying we're not playing cards from the last 2 years or something, and then that's not as fun because no one knows these sets and packs, and people feel left out that way too.
I love
I love
that
Chaos,
idea,
so
John. I love that idea. I love the idea of us making our own mystery boosters out of basically every card that's available on Arena, including like the stuff we don't normally get in packs as comeback pack opens, right? So all the cards that are from the days of like Eldraine Brawl decks that are online, and all of the Historic and Explorer anthologies, and all the sort of like weirdo buy a box cards that are on there, and the Arena intro decks, and so there's like tons of little nuggets on that client that we rarely, if ever, get a chance to use, including my personal pet favorite and one that I'm going to get a league launched on
I
Sunday.
know what it is.
Here it comes. Yeah, Jumpstart, baby.
You know what? It's
Gotta
a
use
great
those
place for
Jumpstart
Jumpstart.
cards.
And it's a great place for the Pioneer Masters set that they just announced. It's going to be
Right.
like 500 cards or something, right? Like it's a fun way to play with stuff, like you said, that we don't normally get to play with. It could be cool. Probably hard to design and very time consuming. So hopefully someone wants to do it.
Well, I mean, plus, I mean, look, we just had the Las Vegas panel with all the Wizards news kind of funneled down our gullets, and it's looking like, given their hectic release schedule in the coming year, we might not have a lot of time to do these events that aren't related to basically set releases, right? Like we're going to be pretty much confined to what Wizards has coming down the pipeline, and I don't know what that means really going ahead in terms of us, having main tournaments, let's call it, not just like accelerated 3-week tournaments. We can still have fun there, but in terms of like a main tournament that we can offer that has like a completely non-set related theme, that might be tough. That might be tough coming up.
Yeah, but the days of those might be gone. Like like we're our schedule is kind of dictated by Wizards more than ourselves, right? Like we don't really get to choose when we do things. You got to play the set when the set comes out. That's how it works.
Or do you? Okay, so now let me drop. Look, we have a couple minutes, I suppose, left over where I can drop this question on you. We recently, and this is because Wizards has such a tight control over the flow of information. We only recently, like yesterday, the day before, yesterday, we found out.
Very recent.
Yeah, the Foundations League is going to go until the end of December, and that's already been planned out for like months, right? So we can't easily turn around the big sort of tanker truck of tournament content we have coming, and then Wizards comes out yesterday and says, well, hey, guess what? On December the 10th, we have Pioneer Masters coming out.
Yeah.
Right. So now people are going to want to play Pioneer Masters, right? So what do? We're sort of like debating this as the league committee right now. Like, do we delay Pioneer Masters until the beginning of January, or do we run 2 leagues simultaneously? Do we run Pioneer Masters as a truncated, accelerated league? I mean, are people still going to be interested in that tournament a month after the cards have been online?
That's very interesting. Here's I guess the question I have is Pioneer Masters like is it a draftable set or is it just
it will be, I believe.
It is it is a set? Okay.
Yeah.
Then that makes it tough. That makes it really tough.
Yeah, it's not just a card dump. It's going to be they're trying to fill in the slots that will make Pioneer a viable format on Arena. But at the same time, I do believe that they're putting the effort in to include enough cards, enough dross, essentially, that it's going to be draftable and not just all the greatest hits of all time.
Yeah, I don't know. That's really tough because I don't really want to play 2 leagues at one time. Like, as much as I would, like, playing 10 games, although, how far are we into Foundations at that point? Is it like week 5, week 6?
Yeah, I think so.
Late?
I think that'll be like the end of week 4.
I'll be knocked out and ready, so I'm probably fine with it.
Well, for me, right? Like, I think it's going to be the case that I'm going to be happy to play with it in January as I was in December. For me, like the cards aren't new, so that it's not like a boiling hot priority. I got to play this right away. The format is new. The cards are not. And so for me, that kind of indicates that maybe I'm okay with a small delay between their launch and our launch. It gives me a chance to like collect the set organically instead of busting out a lot of wild cards.
That's very true too. Yeah.
I don't know. That's my perspective for what it's worth.
But then I wonder when the next set comes out, because this set wasn't planned, but the next set was planned, right?
Yeah, it comes out on Valentine's Day of all times. That's the 3 plane race set.
Oh man, is there going to be like a big love story with Jason Veraska? Maybe. I hope so.
No, I think the love story is Chandra and Nissa.
Oh, really? They're gonna? Are they actually committing to that?
Yeah.
I would love it if they did. Really,
They are.
That's cool. That's really cool to hear.
The
Now that Gideon's gone,
the fans get that one, I guess.
oh boy.
Yeah.
I'm very happy. I'm very happy for that one. That's cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for your time today, John. Thanks for your perspective on chaos. And if you think of a solution for us for the Pioneer Masters League, well, shoot me a message in the near future, because we gotta sort this out pronto.
That sounds. I mean, I think you could start it in January or like very end of Foundations. I think it would be okay. I don't think you can run them at the same time. I think it's just going to be too much for some people.
Yeah, we had that a little bit with Player of the Year, and it caused some people not to play in Duskborn, right? Because they were so, especially Zach, right? Yeah, Zach notably exempted himself from Duskborn so he could concentrate on Player of the Year. So having 2 overlapping tournaments isn't going to work. For me, I feel like having a 6-week offering for Pioneer Masters is worth it in the beginning of January. Are people going to be able to concentrate that much during the holidays anyway on a new league? I think that if you're eliminated by week 4, you're going to be happy to have the holidays off, come back January refreshed. Not the end of the world.
And again, by then you'll have all the wild cards. You'll know. We'll have the data. We'll know what cards are good and winning. It'll be.
And by that time, people will be sick of drafting it, and they'll be ready for the league experience. I think it's perfect. Yes. I think we've solved this problem. We've solved it now.
That's a strong we, Chris, but yes, I'll take it.
You talked me into a position that I already inherently supported. And for that, I congratulate you.
You're welcome.
All right, John. Thanks for your time here on Leagues Behind. In terms of plugging Hunt the Week, what can we expect from your podcast coming up? Any big format shifts? Any surprise guests that you want to forefront here?
No. I always get my guests the week of. I don't really plan anything out too far in advance. That's the beauty of Hunt the Week is I keep it moving. And because I keep it moving so much, I never have anything too planned out. That way I don't have to worry if the plans fall apart. But Hunt the Week every Thursday. If you ever want to watch the old episodes, they're on the YouTube. The YouTube's on the server. If you don't know, just ask me. I'll get it to you. I already know what song I'm going to parody for our Foundations.
Do you want to spoil it?
Yep. I know. I like keeping it a secret. Okay. I like it. But let me say, it's a bang. It's a good one. I'm very excited. I don't usually pick the song this far ahead of time, but I really wanted to parody this song, and I think it's going to work really great for Foundations.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Like I said to you this week, the release of your podcast lines up perfectly with me taking my daughter to Girl Guides. And so, while I'm waiting, so I've got this ritual now all lined up. I'll tell you about it quickly. I drop her off to Girl Guides, and then I have, all to myself, an hour and a half. During that hour and a half, I walk along the beautiful, coast here in Vancouver to a harborside bar by a yacht club. I get 1 pint of IPA, and I sit there, because there's not much time to do anything else. I put my earphones in, I sip my IPA, and I listen to Hunt the Week. And that's been my ritual for the last, month and a half or whatever. And then, this week I was like, the well ran dry, and I'm like, John, what's up, buddy? What's up? I need to fill my ears while I fill my mouth during this 1.5 hours where I get dad time.
Yep.
I get dad time while she's doing the Girl Guide thing, So we're counting on you. Some of us are counting on you to keep up keep that hydrant of content flowing into our ear holes.
I appreciate the people who call me out when I'm a little bit late, or if there's a mistake in the show, because it tells me that people are paying attention and people want it. So we did have an issue this week with audio, and the show got all messed up. But call me out. I love it. It keeps me on my toes, and it keeps me honest. So Don't let me get away with nothing.
What's the saying? You got to treat him mean to keep him keen.
Sure. I don't know that one, but that's great.
Just so this isn't lost to the sands of time, I do want to share with the audience. Again, I keep adding final notes. This is the final note. I want to call out the conversation that we had before the cameras started rolling.
Sure.
We were talking about like another podcast that I do, or we're discussing certain kinds of film, and I asked you, which film of Stanley Kubrick should we critique in terms of the philosophy? You suggested that we look at his old film, Barry Allen. That led to a very funny conversation, because Barry Allen, of course, is the secret identity of DC's The Flash character. Barry Lyndon is the Kubrick film. And then that got us talking, right? It got us thinking about, well, what if, and again, this is on the audience now to pick up this project, what if you train the AI to make a film in the style of Stanley Kubrick about The Flash? And I think there is a use for that technology that would be fantastic. I would pay to see AI Stanley Kubrick's version of The Flash. Couldn't do worse than the actual one that hit the theaters, right? So, can someone make this happen? Can someone show me this?
I would love to see it. I can't imagine. It'd be like 4 hours long. It would be the slowest fast movie you ever saw in your life. It'd be really something.
Well, it's funny because Barry Lyndon is like the slowest movie of all
It's so
time.
slow.
Oh,
I couldn't stand that movie.
plodding.
People love it. I barely got through it.
I mean, you wanted me to do that
yeah.
for the podcast. You wanted me to suffer through Barry Lyndon again.
People like it. Maybe you like it. I don't know. People like it.
Gosh. That's
I
a
also offered
punishment.
The Shining, and he didn't want to do that. So sorry that I knew a couple of Stanley Kubrick movies.
All right, John. Thanks again for your time, buddy, and keep doing all those great things you do. Congratulations on winning Chaos 2. being our first American league
Never
winner.
forget.
Never forget.
Goku. I know I get one type at 8 a year these years. I was the first American to ever win a league. That was me. Back when no one else had done it. Back before the Jordans and the Daniels and back before so many people. It was Goku being the first American, okay? Never forget that.
This is the one of the times that you Goku'd and you didn't go home.
I did not.
Yeah,
No,
you
I went.
Goku'd out.
This is where the Goku emote. This is where the Goku emote comes from. Of Goku with the thumbs up. This was that league. Won that league. Got a Goku emote on the server. That was it.
And if you don't know, now you know. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time for Leagues Ahead when we start to preview the rule set for Foundations. That'll be coming up very shortly. Thanks again to our special guest, John Pasalacqua, and you for tuning in. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.